And let's talk more about this with someone who's very familiar with the extradition law. Peter Vincent has coordinated nearly 500 extraditions into the United States. He's also worked on cases involving China and Cuba. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we hear a lot about extradition treaties. Are they pretty standard agreements, or do they vary from agreement to agreement and from country to country?
I've always said that if you've seen one extradition treaty, you've seen one extradition treaty. Each one is different. Although the basic format, legal and diplomatic, is the same, each country has its own specific and unique cultural, religious in some cases, and political concerns that it works in and incorporates into its requirements for its extradition treaties.
So whether or not a country has an agreement with another, are there any exceptions to when certain countries will send back a suspect? Could there be complications?
There are always exceptions, and there are always challenges. For the most part, countries do respect the extradition treaties that they are bound by. However, because of cultural differences and political differences, sometimes they don't send their folks to the countries that request them as quickly as required, and sometimes they don't send them at all. One example, the United States has a number of extradition treaties, over 100, with countries all over the world. But many countries refuse to send individuals within their jurisdiction to the United States when they would face capital punishment, that is a death sentence, or life imprisonment. In those particular cases, the countries negotiate, and if the government of the United States is able to certify, to state on the record that they will not seek, nor will a death penalty or a life imprisonment be imposed on the particular individual they're seeking for extradition, then they can work out the actual exchange of that individual.
Even if they already have an agreement?
That is correct.
Wow. You have a lot of experience as the former head of the U.S. extradition program in Colombia. You've dealt a lot with the FARC rebels. Take us inside that program, and how hard was it to track down these people?
It was extraordinarily hard to track them down, despite the good efforts, the great efforts, I should say, by both the U.S. government and our Colombian counterparts. These individuals are ensconced in a triple canopy jungle in the southern part of Colombia, and very hard to capture them. They engage in very sophisticated means of communication that are able to evade the intelligence community and the law enforcement communities of both countries for the most part. But the United States, with Colombians' assistance, has been successful in extraditing to the United States a number of high-level FARC members.
We spoke a moment ago about the cooperation between China and the United States at the moment to send back alleged corrupt officials back to China. How rare is this type of arrangement between two countries, especially if they don't have anything formal in place?
Now, as you pointed out, there is no extradition treaty between the United States and China. However, there is a great deal of cooperation, and there is a great deal of coordination. Neither country wants to become a safe haven for criminals, for individuals that engage in corruption or graft. The trips that I took to China, where I met with the Ministry of Public Security, I was very clear, as has Secretary Johnson been last week, and I'm sure Secretary Napolitano before him, that neither country wants to ignore the fact that there are individuals engaging in crimes in their own countries who flee to another jurisdiction in order to evade the law.
Could this mean there could be something down the road for some sort of formal agreement to be made, or can countries work together perfectly fine without having anything put in place?
Something in place is always best. It provides a framework, it provides expectations. However, countries do work together well, even when there's not a formal framework. Law enforcement to law enforcement, intelligence community to achieve the same goal. I am hopeful, because Secretary Johnson has personally and directly engaged in this particular issue, that there will be an opportunity to engage on an even greater level going forward, whether that is through a formal extradition treaty relationship with China or the continued cooperation and coordination that we've experienced and enjoyed for quite some time now.
All right, Peter Vincent, we appreciate your insight. Thank you so much for joining us.